Hi, everybody. Welcome into a new edition of the Houston Sports Weekly podcast, brought to you by KPRC2 Sports. We are talking all things sports in H-Town each and every week. I'm Sports Director Randy McElvoy. Of course, it's been an unbelievable past month or so with the Astros in the postseason, making that title run. You know how it ended this past Saturday in grand fashion for the Astros at home in front of these Astros fans at Minute Maid Park as they take care of business in 6 games over the Philadelphia Phillies. I had the chance to cover these guys like I've done in recent playoff runs as well in every stop. It was a thrill to be able to bring you all the coverage on KPRC2. We covered the ALDS in Seattle and here at Minute Maid Park. We moved on to the ALCS and that date with the Yankees that got so much attention as well. And that was a good series because it went by pretty fast. It was a sweep over the New York Yankees. And how sweet was that to get it done in New York to shut those Yankee fans up. But then the Astros moved on to the World Series. You know what happened. Second title now in the past 6 years for this franchise. Justin Verlander told me after the clinching victory in the postgame clubhouse, he said, when I asked him about this journey from 17 to now, he stopped briefly, and I said, what would you call it? And he said, a dynasty. That came from future Hall of Famer Justin Verlander. Couldn't agree with him more. This is an unprecedented run of 6 consecutive trips to the championship series. You got 2 World Series titles now, 2017 and again 2022. What a run, and it's not over yet, folks. The Astros are built for more. Even if they lose Justin Verlander, I hope they don't, but if they do, 18-game winner, probably going to win the Cy Young. It's going to be a blow, but they've got people ready to step right in. I don't think that's going to change. You've got the current arms. You had like 6 or 7 starting pitchers, right? And then you've got Hunter Brown, the rookie that came in. He's ready to take that next step. Would JV being gone hurt? Absolutely. But I think this team would respond. In the lineup, this is still a dangerous lineup. Could they maybe tweak a few things? Probably. And we'll see how they tackle the offseason and the decisions they make with, guys like Yuli Gurriel. What will they do in center field? I love Chas McCormick. Is he the guy they want out there every single day? Michael Brantley, what's the plan for him coming off injury the last half of the season that he missed? I hope Brantley comes back. When healthy, great hitter, pure hitter. Anyway, a few questions to be answered. They've got Martin Maldonado at catcher. Can they get by with the backups if they lose Christian Vasquez, which I believe they will? So anyway, that will happen during the course of this offseason. Dusty Baker, though, getting his new contract on Wednesday. That was the big news. Not shocking news. Everybody knew it was coming. Dusty said he wanted it. Jim Crane said he wanted it. He told me Saturday night he loved Dusty Baker. They just hadn't really talked about it. They were going to wait till the season ended. They did that. Took about 15 minutes, they said, to get an agreement, and that they did. A 1-year contract. That's what Baker wanted, 1 year at a time, age of 73. Still has the passion and the fire to do this job, but he takes it 1 year at a time. That's smart. That's probably the smart move. The crazy thing going on right now is the general manager. And James Click has done a fine job. He inherited a mess in 2020, a complete mess. One of the darkest times, probably the darkest time in franchise history. He had to make moves along the way. He built this elite bullpen. He got this team to compete, to win. Of course, some of the nucleus was there. We know that. But they lost Carlos Correa. He's the one that sold Jim Crane on the fact that Jeremy Pena could be a star. Jim Crane listened, and look what paid off. You've got an ALCS MVP and a World Series MVP. Anyway, right now, no contract. Apparently, behind the scenes, there's disagreements going on. Will that hold up? I say, and I've gone public, you guys have heard me on social media and on the air, figure it out. Figure it out. You just won a World Series. Make it happen. You might have disagreements. Talk it through. Agree to disagree when needed. But make it work. James Click is an excellent GM. He will get hired quickly if he leaves. What we're hearing is maybe he's going to be offered a 1-year contract. 1 year after winning a World Series. That's disrespect. And I like Jim Crane. He's a businessman. He's done well in business. That isn't how you treat a GM that just won the World Series. If I'm James Click, I'm demanding at least a 3-year deal. He just helped lead this team to the World Series. Dusty Baker just wanted 1 year. That's why he got 1 year. We'll see how it all plays out. Pleasure to be joined by a voice here for the next few minutes, a little bit of my conversation with Sports Talk 790's Adam Wexler, co-host of the A-Team on afternoons, out there all the time with the club. Might as well call him a beat reporter because he pretty much knows everything about this team. Here's a little bit of our conversation. All right, pleasure to be joined by Sports Talk 790's Adam Wexler. You know him well on the radio every afternoon with the A-Team and former KPRC2 staffer, friend of the show, always hanging out in the building. Good to see you, Wex.
Great to be here. What do we got tonight?
We're talking a little Astros as this podcast drops. A couple of days ago, the Astros made it official with Dusty Baker. That's getting a lot of news now. I want to start with Baker, then I want to get your take on the general manager situation. Let's begin with Baker and this deal finally got announced. They said they talked about it in August. I don't know. I was wondering why this thing wasn't done prior to the World Series, but nonetheless, it got done. Just a 1 year thing because that's what Dusty wanted, 1 year.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that's it's what they said. You know, very short negotiation because it's very easy to come to an agreement if that's what both sides are looking at, and that's why they were able to get it done. He obviously appeared to do a tremendous job in the postseason with how they manipulated their pitching staff. There's only so much he could do with the issues offensively, the designated hitter spot, what have you. But obviously, this team was very much behind Dusty. It was not a coincidence how much they talked about him, how much they celebrated him, and how many of these guys, when given the opportunity, kept saying how great it was to win for him. And you could see that in the celebrations they had throughout the postseason.
Yeah, they had a few of those. 73 years old, Wex. He says he still loves the game, and he emphasized again on Wednesday at the news conference that, hey, I like winning. I like winning at a very high level. I love seeing that out of a guy that's a lifer in baseball, probably a future Hall of Famer at some point, I would think. And he just loves doing what he does, man. He'll use this offseason to recharge the batteries and get ready for what they expect to be another run next year.
Yeah, I'm a little miffed at the idea that he was not a Hall of Famer before the World Series victory. I don't think obviously that's not on your resume, but I think his resume was more than full enough to be a part of that managerial group of those that he's contemporaries and even those before him. I felt like he was already in that group, but it definitely cements it there. He said he hadn't even given that a whole lot of thought because he's focused on the job at hand, which just ended, and now he's focused on the next job at hand, and that's trying to create a team that has him in the same position they've been in every single year that Dusty's been here. They've been to the ALCS 3 times. They've been in the World Series in back-to-back seasons. He definitely pulled a lot of the right strings. And, you know, in the grind of a baseball season, as much as the tactical decisions and the analytics go into it, there's a little bit of trying to make sure your players are fresh, healthy, mentally ready to play, and want to go out there and do what they do. A lot of that does fall on the players, but I think Dusty Baker deserves a little bit of credit for how he keeps the dugout, the clubhouse, the way that it is.
All right, James Click, that situation, the oddest situation I've ever seen. There's something going on and has been going on. If it's a professional difference of opinion or personal, who knows? But you just come off a World Series and you got a GM that's in limbo. Very odd situation that's getting a lot of attention nationally.
Yeah, I mean, the real literal part of this issue is he's in limbo, which I think you're accurate in saying that he is. He's operating in this role while in limbo at the GM meeting, trying to make this team better for next year when he doesn't even know if it's his team for next year. So that in and of itself is almost ridiculous. But this is what Jim Crane did. Nobody else is involved in making this odd situation occur other than Jim Crane. He could have negotiated at any point during the season, could have made it happen. I don't think James Click, based on what he said publicly, is the one holding this up, unless it's now literally over what he's being offered. And that's different than not engaging in negotiations over the course of the season, where he, like Dusty, has put this team in position to win at the highest level, exactly what Jim Crane hoped they'd be able to carry into the post-Luno, A.J. Hinch, post-scandal era. And they've done that tremendously well. But there's obviously a difference of opinion within how they put a team together. We know Jim Crane wants much more power and enforces that power over this team more than most owners do. I don't know if that was really a change in 2020 or some of that had already happened before Jeff Luhnow had moved on, but he likes to make these deals himself. He's not going to be on the phone at the trade deadline. He's not going to be scouring the scouts' notes and figuring out what they need to do, but he is going to take care of a Verlander contract, a Yordan Alvarez extension, negotiating with Carlos Correa and George Springer and whomever else, Kyle Tucker, on into the future. These are almost above the GM's pay grade, which doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense and puts your GM in an odd situation, even if he has the job.
Yeah, man, it looks like if he gets offered, it could be just a one-year deal. And maybe that's Crane's way of getting him to walk away. Who knows? Because James Click deserves a multi-year deal for the job he's done since he took over after the scandal with the sign stealing. And here they are, fresh off a World Series.
Yeah, the thing is, he's the owner. He can do what he wants. And if in 2020 he already got an inkling of this isn't really what I have in mind for a GM, and 2020 reinforced it, 2022, same thing. And I don't know what those reasons are, considering how much control he holds over the major dollar decisions for this team. I think he's given James Click the resources to do what he needs to do to make this happen. And I don't know if Jim Crane is overly upset with what happened at this trade deadline, because clearly none of the acquisitions made positive impacts or overtly positive impacts with this team. And that was really the only holes they needed filling. Got to give him credit for what he did over the last couple of seasons with turning a good bullpen into an elite, maybe best in postseason history.
Absolutely.
Bullpen. So it's hard. Like, how do you grade him out? You're not even letting him make major moves. You're the one who makes those. So if the moves he did make are satisfactory, you're kind of in a tough spot saying he didn't do the job that he did. They definitely have one difference in how they operate. And I think James Click has, said that publicly. We all knew this from his previous dealings. James Click is deliberate. He's very casual with how he goes through these things, not overly aggressive and not impulsive. And I think Jim Crane is a little bit more, here's what I want to do. Let's go out and do this. Deal's done. Move on to the next one. And those don't seem to mesh too well.
All right, Wex, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the show. You got a lot of Astro fans out there with a lot of questions, I'm sure. The A-Team afternoons on Sports Talk 790. He is Adam Wexler. Wex, appreciate it. We will get you on soon. See you here in studio, I'm sure, soon as well. Thanks for hanging out.
Anytime.
All right, great chat. Once again, thank you to Adam Wexler, Sports Talk 790, co-host of the A-Team and a big friend of KPRC2. He is welcome anytime. We're going to talk more with him in the weeks ahead. Well, the Astros are going to be a hot topic over the next few months, folks. Believe it or not, spring training opens in the middle of February. Season opens March 30th against the Chicago White Sox. It'll be here before we know it. Thanks for checking out Houston Sports Weekly, our weekly podcast from KPRC2 Sports. We'll do it again next week. It drops every Friday on KPRC2 Plus. Click to Houston.com as well. So be sure to check it out. We will talk to you soon.